All right, it is November 20th, and we have got our 5 best bets for this college basketball Wednesday. Of course, we're doing this every single day here on the channel, so make sure to hit that subscribe button down below again for more daily college basketball best bets, along with our NBA predictions. Oh, that's college football. Along with our NBA predictions that are also daily on the channel as well. We posted our NBA predictions here for Wednesday about an hour ago, so make sure to check that video out. Link is in the description down below, along with our college football predictions that were posted yesterday. Over 2.5 hours. Yep, 2.5 hours of Week 13 college football predictions. Make sure to check those videos out. I truly think I love making college basketball videos. I think this is the best content I make on the channel. I'm serious. I think the amount of time I put into college football predictions is great. Trust me, I love making college basketball videos. I think these videos are good too, but college football, man, we've got a huge game this week between Indiana and Ohio State. I've been kind of running on Indiana, going to the national championship or going to, the playoffs for about 13 weeks now, so just saying, I did call this. I just watch the video. I called Indiana and Ohio State, Indiana going undefeated into this game a long time ago. Just saying. Anyways, make sure to check that video out. Earlier this week, we posted our UFC Macau China predictions with Piotr Jan and Davison Figueiredo in the main event. And then later today, we'll have our NFL Week number 12 predictions as well. All right, now for that, let's get on to our 5 best bets here for the day. We start things off with the early game. We always try to get one of these earlier games into the video. Yesterday, we cashed with Quinnipiac beating Navy. And now we're trying to cash here with the Citadel taking on Charleston. Now, two teams who, if I'm not mistaken, play in Charleston, South Carolina. The game is at the Citadel, which is still in Charleston, South Carolina. I just think the point spread's too much in this game. 11.5, don't like it. I don't like it, especially for a Charleston team that, I get it. I don't think Liberty is as bad. I wouldn't say it's bad. I think Liberty is better than people think they are. But a team that just scored 47 points against Liberty, who, again, plays great defense, I understand that, but a team that just scored 47 points should not be 11.5 point favorites against anybody, especially on the road. Again, I get it. Both these teams do play in Charleston, South Carolina, but this Charleston Cougars team should not be 11.5 point favorites against literally anybody. They just shouldn't be. And I get it. They had 3 really great games to start the season. They won 90-80 against Southern Illinois. They won 86-71 against South Florida. They won in double overtime over Florida Atlantic, 119-116. I'm not saying they're not going to win this game. I think they will beat the Citadel. But I do think, again, 11.5 points is just too much. Now, Ante Brozovic was their leading scorer their first 3 games. He had 27 in the Southern Illinois game. He had 34 in the USF game and 39 in the double overtime victory over FAU. The difference between those 3 games and the loss at Liberty, or against Liberty, is that he only put 10 points in the Liberty game. We'll see. He just didn't shoot the ball as much as he did in those first 3 games against the Flames. Now, for the Citadel here, they're 3-2. Their leading scorer is Brody Fox, who's averaging 19 points a game. Brody Fox is, kind of their entire team, if being honest, at least on the offensive side of the ball. They do have, I believe it's their center in Sola Abedesi, or I think he's their power forward, who does lead their team in rebounds. He has led them in rebounds every single game so far this season. Regardless, though, the Citadel has played 5 games this year, and here, this is why I like them to cover this 11.5 against Charleston. They only lost by 9 to Boston College. They won against a D2 school. They beat Stetson by 22 points. They beat North Greenville by 25 points, and they only lost to North Carolina A&T by 9 points. I get it. Again, Charleston's not better than Boston College, I don't think. Charleston, I think, is better than North Carolina A&T. Maybe not. They'd be competitive with North Carolina A&T. Regardless, I think they're a comparable team to North Carolina A&T. Again, I think BC's better, and we've seen the Citadel remain competitive with these basketball teams. And on top of that, again, basically both these teams are at home, but technically it is at the Citadel. I don't think Charleston should be favored by 11.5 points. I just don't think they should. I don't think they're that much better than the Citadel in this game. Again, don't get me wrong. I am taking Charleston to win the basketball game. They are slightly better, sure. But 11.5 points better? To me, that line just doesn't entirely make sense. I don't know. That's just a me thing. I don't think that line makes sense at all. I'm going to take Citadel to cover the 11.5 points. We will go with the Charleston Pirates to win the basketball game. Charleston Cougars to win the basketball game. So if you want the minus 900, go take it. But we really like the plus 11.5 out the Citadel Bulldogs in the early game here on Wednesday. Next up, we go on to a matchup between South Dakota. Not South Dakota State, not our squad, which actually we're going to get to in a second, but South Dakota goes on the road to Kalamazoo, Michigan to take on the West Michigan Broncos. We like the South Dakota Coyotes, and we like them pretty easily in this game. I think there is absolutely great value, and I mean tremendous value, in South Dakota in this basketball game. I really think this is great. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think they should be underdogs against Western Michigan. I have gone on the channel time in and time out. If you've been watching the best bets, you know I like the Summit League. I like the Summit League a lot. I like South Dakota. I like South Dakota State. I don't mind North Dakota State. And some of these other teams, I like Denver. Some of these other teams, I just need to watch a little bit more. And I will like them more as the season progresses, especially once we get to Summit League play. Then I get to watch all of them play. All right? Of course, right? This is non-conference schedule, so we get to pick, again, a lot of Summit League teams against non-Summit League teams. We like the Summit League's own South Dakota to beat the Max Western Michigan. Western Michigan's 2-3. Lost to Coastal Carolina. They beat Davenport, don't care. Lost to Butler by 20. SIU Edwardsville beat them by 19 points, and they beat Canisius, who I probably butchered their name, 92-69. They have not blown anybody out the water, really. They don't have one guy who can take over a basketball game. Their leading scorer is Javon Hanna, who's averaging 12 points a game. Then there's Owen Lobsinger, who's averaging 11. Donovan Williams averaging 10. Markai Strickland's averaging 10. And then everyone else is under and below 6 points a game. South Dakota is just the better basketball team. Right now, they look like the best team in the Summit. I'll make the case that probably is still South Dakota State, who we're going to get to literally in about a minute here. But I don't mind this South Dakota team at all. Again, I get it, 2 of their wins are against D2s. Mount Marty College, I believe that's a South Dakota college that played South Dakota State as well. South Dakota State beat them a couple days ago. And then Dakota Wesleyan they beat as well. But a win over Southern, a win over East Texas A&M. They did lose by 19 points to Iowa, but that's Iowa. I think South Dakota's been playing good basketball this season. Sure, are we getting a little bit fooled with the record and, how it's really 2-1? I get that, but Western Michigan has not played the best basketball either. Again, lost to SIU Edwardsville at home, a loss on the road to Coastal Carolina, Butler on the road, whatever. I think South Dakota's the better team. You got Isaac Bruns, who's leading their team in points with 14 per game. Caleb Stewart's averaging 12. Chase Forte's averaging 12. I like the South Dakota Coyotes to win this basketball game. Again, the only reason that Western Michigan is, close in the odds, and the only reason that they are, only slight dogs in this game is because the game is in Kalamazoo. But that's not that far of a trip over from South Dakota for the Coyotes. I feel really good about South Dakota going on the road and winning this basketball game. Again, I think these teams are somewhat close, but I just think the Coyotes are better. Give me South Dakota to go on the road and beat the West Michigan Broncos, picking up their biggest win of the season, I would say. South Dakota picks up the win for the Summit League, and it starts the season 5-1. And if you thought we were done with Summit League basketball, we're not. We go to South Dakota State. We go to Brookings, South Dakota. Again, we love the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. And sure, the Jacks did not come through in their last game, okay? They absolutely did not come through in their last game that we picked against North Colorado. But hear me out. Maybe this is the last time South Dakota State loses in terms of course, conference play or non-conference play until they're going to lose at Nevada. Maybe they can beat Duquesne. I don't know. We'll talk about that one when we get there on November 24th. I think they can win that game. They can definitely go to Montana and win. They'll beat East Washington. At Nevada, at Colorado, at Alabama, I can't make the case they're going to beat Alabama. But I like South Dakota State. Again, if you've been watching the best bets, we've talked about them twice now on the channel, maybe 3 times, no, twice. And again, I used to be a huge South Dakota State Jackrabbits fan. Yes, I believe it or not. Again, I'll say this every video, but when they had Mike Dom, Skylar Flatt, and David Jenkins Jr., I was a huge South Dakota State guy. I would watch every single game they played back then. I'm not as big of a fan now, but I do still kind of keep up with South Dakota State. Again, obviously, if you know Zeke Mayo, one of the top players in college basketball, transferred out of South Dakota State, but he was on this team last year. Baylor Shireman obviously was on this team a couple seasons ago. Went to Creighton, got picked in the first round of the NBA draft last year by the Boston Celtics. Still trying to figure things out, I believe, with the main Red Claws in the G League. Regardless of that, though, South Dakota State, I don't think they're bad this season. Oscar Clough is their star. He's averaging 18 points per game at the center position. Joe Saylor as well is another really good player for them. He's one of their guards. You got Owen Larson, but really it's Joe Saylor and Oscar Clough who are their 2 best guys. They get Southern Miss here at home. I think this is a great smash spot. Southern Miss beat Bowling Green earlier this season. It is what it is. Lost to UAB and then just beat Loyola New Orleans. Not an impressive victory. Andre Crubello is their leading scorer. He is a senior out of Veja Baja, Puerto Rico. former, he's played at USM for 2 seasons, but a former St. Joe's guy, and then played at Illinois prior to that as well. But of course, has seen his best minutes and best game time playing at USM. This is a 160-pound, 6-foot-tall point guard. Wow. South Dakota State's just the better team, though. Again, I take South Dakota State in a neutral site game. I take South Dakota State if they went on the road to Southern Miss. On top of that, we get them at home in Brookings. All day long, we like South Dakota State to win this game. Again, I'm telling you, Oscar Clough does literally everything for this basketball team. He's a senior, so he's not going to transfer out like Zeke Mayo, like David Jenkins, like pretty much any Baylor Shireman. He's not leaving. He's here at South Dakota State. He was a Wazoo guy last year. He's here now at South Dakota State, and he's been making an impact this season. I like Clough a lot. He literally does everything for this basketball team. And then you get the freshman Joe Saylor, who is the future of South Dakota State basketball, the freshman out of White River, South Dakota. Yeah, give me the Jacks. Again, this team's only going to get better as the season goes on. I've talked about how I like South Dakota, I like North Dakota State, but this is still the favorite right here to win the Summit League tournament this season and win the Summit League championship and go to the NCAA tournament for back-to-back seasons. It's the Jacks. Trust in the Jackrabbits. It's a process, but we're going to keep picking the Jackrabbits. They will win at home here in Brookings and cover the 11.5 points against the Southern Miss Eagles. Next up, we go on to Gonzaga, Spokane, Washington for Gonzaga, and Long Beach State. Hear me out. I think Gonzaga is the best team in college basketball right now. I actually think they are. I don't think they're 33.5 points better than Long Beach State, though. Hear me out. Long Beach has to figure it out, right? I mean, the Beach has to figure it out. They're 1-3. This is a team that, sure, they were horrible last year in the Big West regular season. They were 10-10, and they went on their miracle run. They fired their coach, but let him coach out the Big West tournament. And they go on their miracle run where they win 3 games and win the Big West over Riverside, Irvine, and Davis to make the NCAA tournament, where obviously they ended up losing to Arizona in the first round by 20 points. They lost one of their best guys, obviously, to Louisville as well in the offseason, which, again, that's just the unfortunate part of, mid-major college basketball. You lose all your top guys. But I feel like the Beach has to figure it out eventually, right? They are 1-3 this season. They've lost to our guys, South Dakota State. They lost by 30 to San Francisco, which isn't really too, it isn't too comforting, considering we're picking them to cover 33.5 against maybe the best team in all of basketball right now, college basketball, and then they lose by 2 to Portland. Okay, the Portland loss is a step in the right direction, okay? They are led by Devin Askew. He is a senior. He's still playing college basketball. Yes, this is a guy who, of course, was at Kentucky his freshman year. They went to Texas, played at Cal, and now here he is at Long Beach State. He is their main guy. And the Zags are incredible, though. I mean, I'm not going to, understate how good Gonzaga is. They're the best team in college basketball, personally. Again, watching them play Baylor, then watching them go on the road to San Diego State and win their win over Arizona State. I think this team's great. Graham Ike, Braden Huff, Cleve Battle. This team's really good. Ryan Nembhard, obviously their point guard. This is a phenomenal basketball team. I just think the Beach finally figure it out. And hear me out, guys. Long Beach State will lose by 29 points. That's what I like in this game. Really, I think Gonzaga wins. I think this game's over, in the first half. But I think the Beach is able to... Guys, just think about it, okay? I don't think Long Beach is that horrible. I don't think they're good this year, but they have played close games with SDSU and Portland. I get it. They're no Gonzaga, obviously. They're no Gonzaga at all. But still, I feel like they got to play a close game eventually. Not close game, but they got to, find, They gotta find something in the right direction here, right? I do think they are able to compete, kind of. But here's my thing with this game, right? You're taking a 33.5 point spread with the Long Beach State team, which I don't think is going to be that pitiful this season, to the point where they're getting blown out by 33 points every night, obviously. And obviously they're going to be way more competitive when we get to Big West play. But hear me out here. 33.5 points. You're going to get garbage time. You're going to get guys on Long Beach State. Maybe they keep their starters in. Devin Askew's still playing. And they just try to put up as many points as possible when they are already down by 30 points. But that's enough for us to cover the spread. Again, so many variables and so many things need to go right for Gonzaga to cover the 33.5 points. We just need help. I'm going to say it. We need 5 minutes to go really well for us for Long Beach State. And then the Beach covers. I'm serious. We need 5 good minutes out of Long Beach State. If we can get 5 good minutes where Long Beach State goes on, hey, let's say maybe, okay, we're getting a little overconfident here, but they go on a 13-5 run in 5 minutes, that's probably enough for them to cover. I'm serious. We just need one of those this entire game for the Beach to cover. Give me Long Beach State. If they don't cover this game, I'm never picking a big underdog ever again to cover a large spread, okay? So that would immediately eliminate Mississippi Valley State from ever appearing on the channel ever again, okay? Don't get me wrong, I still think Gonzaga is the best team in college basketball. I just feel like this is a way too extreme of a margin here. And you know what? Maybe I'm wrong, and Gonzaga just kind of proves my other point in this game, that they are truly the best team in college basketball. We'll see. Give me the Beach, though, to cover this 33.5 point spread. Obviously, though, the Zags win the basketball game as we go on to the game of the day by far here in Tuscaloosa. You've got the Alabama, it's in Birmingham. You got the Alabama Crimson Tide taking on Illinois. Bama is 8, Illinois is 25. Obviously, Bama has already played a ranked team earlier this season against Purdue. They went to West Lafayette and lost the game by 9 points. And that started the gauntlet for Alabama. This is brutal. Just listen to this stretch. Purdue, Illinois, Houston, Rutgers, North Carolina, Creighton. That is six ranked teams in a row they have to play. Then, of course, they go play UND, Kent State, South Dakota State, and then SEC play obviously kicks off with Oklahoma, South Carolina, and then Texas A&M. It is a brutal non-conference schedule for Alabama. Sure, a team that was supposed to be, and I think still can be, one of the best teams in college basketball this season. They have one of the better players in college basketball in Mark Sears. They've got Latrell Wrightsell Jr. They've got Grant Nelson. They've got players, obviously. Illinois is not bad, though. They're not, again, the Illinois team of a couple of years ago, obviously, but the Fighting Illini are always going to be a force in college basketball. Will Riley's been their leading scorer. They've got Tomislav Ivisic averaging 17 points as well. This is not a bad Illinois team. I don't think Bama's that much better than them. Again, Bama's got it cut out for them, man. I mean, seriously, we're probably going to go over every single Alabama game in this stretch just because, again, they have so many ranked versus ranked matchups. Again, Houston, Rutgers, UNC, and Creighton are all still coming up. So, again, we probably will talk about every single one of them here on the channel for, again, the gauntlet that the Crimson Tide have. Again, I think they beat Illinois, but my thing is I don't think they're 8.5 points better than Illinois. Even Bama's non-ranked games prior to the Purdue game wasn't all that impressive. They beat Arkansas State by 9. They beat McNeese by 8, a team that South Dakota State beat. And then they lose to Purdue by 9 points. Again, I don't think Alabama's bad. I just don't know if they have it in them to cover this line against Illinois. I think they win, but I just feel like 8.5 points is just too much. That's why we're taking the Fighting Illini to cover the spread, plus 8.5. Illinois finds a way to get it done. They're undefeated so far this season, beating Eastern Illinois, SIU, Edwardsville, and Oakland. I think they find a way, though, to cover this game against Alabama, but ultimately, though, I do like the Crimson Tide to straight up win the basketball game. So, folks, that'll do it for our 5 best bets here for November 20th here for college basketball. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow again for more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.